afternoon. My name is Joseph Lloyd and I source cars for people on a professional basis, hence the name of my channel, Lloyd Vehicle Consulting. 4 years ago, I was asked to come up with a series of videos that were filmed inexpensively. We don't use digital cameras, we don't use fluid head tripods, we don't use shotgun microphones, we wear tatty shirts, we just use a phone, but we look at cars that you can buy for a budget up to £1,000 only, and we very much enjoy ourselves. These are cars that might be in cosmetically bad condition. You might see oil leaks, rattly dashboards and cosmetic imperfections, but we go all over the country and we find these very inexpensive cars that you all seem to enjoy watching. Oh viewers, another car on No Budget Reviews that I've been trying to get hold of for quite some time. This is a 1994 Renault Laguna Mark 1 1.8 RT. And before you say anything, yes, Mr. Richardson from the Furious Driving channel filmed one of these a while ago and it was exactly the same specification. It was a 1995, the one he drove, in a different colour, but otherwise very, very similar. This is owned by Richard and Ryan from the NA Turbo channel, whose extensive collection of cars I'm gradually working my way through today, and they've recently bought this for £1,000, so we're okay viewers, we're within budget. And actually this car looks really good. It's in nice condition for something that is 30 years old. Registered December 1994, this car. Mark 1 Laguna came out in January that year and actually lasted until 2001. The Laguna 2 came out. Laguna 2 is a car we've also covered on No Budget Reviews, and on Sensible Second-Hand Reviews, or rather not very sensible second-hand reviews, we have covered a Laguna Mark 3 Coupe. So we've done all three generations of Laguna. Boot is very, very big. I think it's like 430 litres on this car. One thing that's really annoying, and this is something that happened a long time ago, was that when the rear window was replaced in the 2000s, they didn't do a very good job and it started to make it rust. Other than that, the car's not got any rust on it at all. It was owned by an older gentleman who had a strange propensity to do weird things, like putting this solar panel in so the battery of the car didn't go flat when he left it in the garage. Interesting. Right, let's open up this, and there we go, full-size spare. It's not an alloy spare, but it doesn't really matter, does it? But yeah, really, really practical. If you wanted even more practicality, in 1995 the estate version of this car was launched, known as some market, I think, as the Sports Tourer, although I'm not familiar with that name being used in this country till the Mark IIs, but I could be wrong about that. So yeah, nice big hatch. You can see why these were just default cars for sales reps or families back in the 1990s. Loads and loads and loads of space, and I think quite a pleasing design. The Patrick Lequemont kind of characteristic here with a little beak on the front. Facelift was in 1998, although this is way, way, way before that. Even the alloy wheels are quite nice, aren't they? They look like something out of Renault 25. Only got drums on the back. It's only a 1.88 valve. Got windy windows in the back. This isn't the base model, that was the RN, but we've still got windy windows to remind yourself that it's not an RXE or a Monaco or a Baccara or whatever it is, which would be my preference, something like that. Yeah, it's okay. Headroom's pretty good. This seat needs to move a bit further forward, ideally, and there's no map pockets or anything in here, but it's not bad. It's classic sort of 1990s family car interior, which Chris Goffey described at the time on Top Gear as Euro Saloon, and you know, they say that the geometric patterns on the fabric were inspired by Paul Klee and Monet and people like that, but I don't think it's as bad as Chris Goffey seemed to think it was. I think it looks fine. It's just it looks like a lot of other cars did at the time. Nice armrest in here, even on this relatively low specification model. Seemingly we don't have rear headrests either. I mean, maybe those were an option or something, because the little caps are in place, so maybe that's what it is. And they've got another, I think that's a high level brake light there. So yeah, a little place here for ashtray because it's a French car and just got to have someone to put your gitan. There's the lumbar support control, which is good. Yeah, so just a little bit further forward and it would be ideal. Loads and loads of space. Just acres and acres of vacuum formed plastic, but you know, it's a 1990s Renault and that's just what they were like. Let's have a look in the front. Okay. Weirdly on this car, it has the engine size on one side and the trim level on the other. Seat height adjuster, which I'm grateful for. Yeah, oh, look at these Renault stalks, familiar to so many people. We've used on, I think the Mark II Clio used these and the Mark I Megane used them and all kinds of things. Yeah, the horn is actually on here and on here. It's weird. The gauge on the right hand side actually shows both the temperature and the oil level. It's again a Renault thing, showing the oil level gauge. You don't have to always use a dipstick, which is good. And then we've got the steering wheel controls for the volume on here, and I think also changing the radio stations and things you can do it as well. First bit pioneered, I think, in the Renault 9 in about 1982, and actually Renault still uses a similar system to this day. Haven't got any air conditioning. We haven't got any front fog lamps, I don't think, on this because it's too low in the trim level for that. The stereo is being changed. It is a more modern unit in this one. The original one is still around, but if you don't want to see it, you can just do that, which you know is good because you've got these controls here for the volume, so you don't actually need to open it to change the volume. This gear lever actually is going in the bin. It is not the original one. And then we've got this. I don't know what this switch here is. So that's the, I think, an aftermarket thing that the previous owner fitted. I'm not going to touch that. We've got the door locking button, has like warning switch down there by the handbrake. A little display up there, which doesn't really do much interesting. What about the glove box? Have we got anything exciting happening in here? Let's see if my secret mission documents go in, shall we? Oh no! That is bad. I'm feeling déçu, as the French would say, disappointed. One thing I do like about this car is that if we open up this piece of paper, this is the original PDI sheet from 1994. It shows the car coming into Docks Southampton. Gosh, just with one hand, it's a bit difficult. Here we go. There you are, you see, coming into the docks at Southampton in December 1994. Wonderful. This is why so many Renaults registered on Portsmouth / Southampton plates, which have been the same registration there. It's just 1974. There's a fact for you didn't need to know. Yeah, very comfortable. Driver's airbag, I think we're standing all of these cars in this country. Passenger airbag would have been up here, but again, we already got the RT, so we haven't got one of those. And that's a very, very familiar looking mirror switch as well in tons of Renaults, and tiny, tiny electric Renault switches. I imagine on the higher trim models you'd get 4 of those. But yeah, we've actually got vents coming out of the doors, which is quite a sensible way to do things, I think. A little bit here, which presumably on a higher trim model might be something, but that's just a nothing. And then little compartment open here, which probably on like an RXE or something would be, you know, with a little storage cubby. Nice big ashtray because it's a French car, which again you can just put that in there and you can just forget about it. You don't need it open, but we'll put it open again. Yeah, very, very, very comfy seats. Very comfortable car in general, actually, for doing long, long motorway trips. I'm sure would be the habitat of one of these back in the 1990s. Right, let's have a look under the bonnet at the 1.8 Renault F-Type engine. Ah yes, the good old F-Type engine. In this case, 1.8 litres of capacity, generating about 94 horsepower. Only an 8-valve cylinder head on this one. The 1.8 16 valves came in a bit later. The F-Type engine was very, very long-lived. It started off in the early 1980s. I think the first car to get it was again the Renault 9 and Renault 11 in 1.7 litre capacity. Volvo started to get it as well, lots of Volvos. The 340 got it, the 440, the 460 used the Renault F-Type engine, and then later on things like the Clio Williams, and even as late as kind of, I think it was sort of 2012 when the Laguna was discontinued in this country. There was the 2 litre turbos were still using an F-Type engine. So very long-lived design, obviously changed over the years. We do have the cam belt, so just make sure that's done. And yeah, we've actually got an iron block in this, an aluminium head, which is interesting. So relatively old technology really for the time, with no full alloy engines here, apart from another engine that we'll talk about later. The coolant reservoirs in these always seem to get gunked up like that. It's a common Renault thing. I just hope people are looking inside this, we would be maxi rather than the mini setting. Right. Oh, sorry, we do have front fog lamps on this. I do apologise. I thought we didn't have them. Maybe that was an option on these cars. I'm sure the other one, Mr. Richardson, drove on his channel, didn't have them. So maybe that was an option that this owner had ticked back in 1994. Right, let's go for a drive, shall we, viewers? Right, viewers, off we go. So when this car was launched in 1994, there were a couple of engines available, the 1.88 valve with 94 horsepower, and then I think a 2 litre with 112 horsepower. That actually lasted all the way to the end. And the other one was the 3 litre V6 with 165 horsepower. It was actually a PRV unit. In 1997, that V6 was changed for the later ESL unit, the same one that was used in an awful lot of other Peugeot and Citroën cars that generated 187 horsepower. Changes started to occur as well in about 1995 when the 2 litre was supplemented by a 16 valve engine with 137 horsepower. It was actually a Volvo engine. It was a Volvo white block engine out of the Volvo S40 and V40. That lasted from 1995 to 1999 when it was replaced by a 2 litre 16 valve F-type engine with 138 horsepower. In 1998 the 1.88 valve was discontinued and replaced with 2 other engines. There was a 16 valve version of 1.8 with 118 horsepower and a 1.6 Renault K-type engine with 109 horsepower. There are also some diesels available, but as usual, due to controversial government legislation and all kinds of reasons, we don't talk about diesels on this channel. My impression of this car is how light and friendly it is to drive. The gearbox is typical Renault in that the throw is quite long, but you get used to it. I wish it had original gear lever on it, but you know, there we go. The car has this weird infrared locking system whereby you have to point the remote exactly at this thing up here. If you don't do that, the car won't actually unlock and you end up trying to start it, the immobiliser kicks in and you don't go anywhere, which I found out to my detriment. I was told how to do it, but I must have forgotten where to point it. So very nice, soft, supple ride. Very, very comfortable seats. 0 to 60 this car is something like 30.5 seconds with this 1.88 valve engine, but it actually feels a little bit quicker than that, which is surprising really. I would have thought it wouldn't do that, but yeah. Gearbox is a little bit funny. It's second, it keeps wanting to sort of jump out of it if you don't put it in very carefully, so obviously learning to do that. But it makes the camera nice and steady with this soft suspension. It's not the sort of most dynamic car, you know, a Ford Mondeo or a Nissan Primera definitely have been that, the Mark 1 Mondeo and the P10 Primera when this car came out. I'm not even sure it's as sharp to drive as a Mark 3 Cavalier, which would have been one of its rivals when it was on launch. Obviously it was changed to the Vectra the next year. But yes, it's a pleasant enough thing. It makes a very familiar noise to me because I used to own a Volvo 460 with 1.7 F-type engine, so yeah, overall it's quite nice really. Let's see how it is on some faster roads, see if it actually performs all right. Here we go, viewers, accelerating onto the bypass. Hopefully somebody will let me out or something like that. A little bit faster. There we go, go. Oh, it doesn't like second. Oh no, it doesn't like second gear, this car. You'll be very careful with second, otherwise it just sort of jumps straight out. Yeah, that is the legal limit. That actually wasn't too bad. I'll have to turn around and come back now though. See how it actually handles this roundabout. Hopefully it's okay. Brakes feel okay. I think we've got ABS in here, I'm not entirely sure. Put it in second very carefully, otherwise it might jump out. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of body roll. There's definitely a lot of body roll. But it's not that bad. It's not as bad as I thought it was. It's not as slow as I thought it was. And it actually handles a bit better than I imagined. It's just very comfortable, very predictable, grip's fine. Yeah. Really not a bad car. Much better than I was expecting. I don't know quite what I was expecting. Still got that lovely compliant ride. But yeah, superb experience really. Not as sharp as some other cars, but maybe that's not what you want. Maybe you want your sort of family car to be nice and comfy for your children, or your photocopying samples, or whatever it is that you have. Let's have a look at some Mark 1 Renault Laguna trim levels, viewers. So we have the RN, the RT, like this one, the RTI, but was a bit more sporty, the RXE, the RT Alizé, the RT Spa, the Alizé, the Executive, the Monaco, the Spa, and the Baccarat. Obviously the Executive, the Monaco, and the Baccarat are where we want to be, aren't they? So, viewers, should you consider a Mark 1 Renault Laguna for your hard-earned budget of up to £1,000? I don't see why not. If you can get one that's not rusty and hasn't got electrical issues and has been well looked after and, you know, has got a good service history, then yeah, they're not the most dynamic cars. They're not necessarily ones that are considered classics even now, even though they, approaching 30 years old, the first ones. But yeah, they have this nice kind of friendly charm to them, and for that I am very grateful to have been given a go in this car. Anyway, thank you ever so much indeed once again for watching. Please don't forget to subscribe to the channel, like this video, leave a comment below, and we shall see you again very soon for some more inexpensive motoring.